Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight news, and reviews on a daily basis. And today is Monday, April 22nd, 2024, and that means that last night was AEW Dynasty, and what a pay-per-view it was. I've been a bit harsh on AEW as of late, and I mean, rightfully so, to be brutally honest. But that pay-per-view, wow, they nailed it. They did a great job, and I cannot wait to get into things, break things down. What did I like? What did I not like? I'm going to get into all of that and more, but I don't just want to know about my thoughts, because I also want to get the thoughts of this phenomenal panel here today. And let's kick things off with a co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. How are you, Clark?
Dude, I'm stoked to be here. This is exactly what the doctor ordered for AEW. Like you said, this pay-per-view was awesome. It was a blast. I had a blast yesterday. Got to shout out Carter, not Cardi Carnett, but Carter, for getting us the Dodger tickets and then hosting me to watch the pay-per-view. We had an absolute blast. He ended up playing an unplugged-in bass at the end of the night, so you know we had fun watching the show. But I cannot wait to break it all down today, and let's get right into it, Ben.
Absolutely. We have a comment here from our good friend Numero One Superfly saying that he's excited to hear our thoughts on the event. We're going to get right into that. But also joining us today, we have the host of Take It to the Table, the man who has claimed to trademark the color blue. He now owns it. Nobody else can use it. And that man is the man I went to a WWE live event with a couple of nights ago on Friday night, and I got absolutely hammered. How are you today, Chaos?
Yeah, that was a sight to see. What's up, everybody? Obviously, this is my first episode back since for about a week. As you know, with us black people, when it comes to our birthday, we have to take a week off. And that's what I did. But it was great. Thank you very much. So far, so good. We're going to talk about AEW Dynasty. Manchester United are into the FA Cup Finals, even though we don't deserve it. But Arsenal have bottled it once again in the Champions League. So all is well in the world of Taking to the Table. So without further ado, let's get straight to it, shall we, Ben?
I still not recovered from that loss. I'm not going to recover from that loss for a long, long time. Clark was on a watch along with me when Arsenal lost last week, and I was not happy. Right, Friday night wasn't the only day I had to get hammered.
It was the closest thing to me going to a funeral of late.
It was bad.
Yes,
it was very, very bad. But hey, something which wasn't bad was AEW Dynasty, and specifically this one match, which a lot of people are saying it might be the greatest wrestling match of all time, and that was Billy Goat Will Ospreay against Bryan Danielson. Now, firstly, I'm going to give Will Ospreay his flowers for just a second, because this guy has been wrestling in the United States for just a couple of months now, and already he was arguably the most over person on that AEW Dynasty event last night, and him and Danielson had a banger of a bout, no doubt about it. But was it one of the greatest wrestling matches ever? Was it the greatest? Absolutely not. And I'll tell you why. Very simply, I say it all the time, story is king. And there wasn't that much story. There was enough story for it to be a pay-per-view match. It was enough story for it to do what it did, and it did it phenomenally. I'm not hating on it. 5-star match, no doubt. But it was not one of or the greatest wrestling matches ever, in my personal opinion. But athletically, well, it was amazing, wasn't it, Clark?
It was. But speaking of amazing, I also do have to introduce our other panelist today, the host of the Soul Sessions.
Wow.
Wow. Sorry, so.
I mean, hey,
everybody.
I
was like, Ben is on fire here.
I'm just saying, last year I took the summer off. I can take that again. I can happily take another summer off. I'm just saying. But I mean, hey, there it is. Then I see what it is. You know, NXT review doesn't come out. I don't get an introduction. Biases coming around. I mean,
I'm blaming on chaos.
Chaos is whoa! We can't have that kind of standing here, big man. That's an absolute no-no.
HR, where are you?
Because you went right into the.
We'll give some flowers. We'll give some flowers. St. Louis, they brought it last night for AEW Dynasty. They were an absolute banging crowd. Maybe one of the best I've seen in a very long time. But yeah, let's get into Ospreay and Danielson, shouldn't we, boss man? Or do I have to cut my introduction short now?
We got this.
Oh, I'm sorry, Soul. I'm sorry. It's all your fault, Chaos, the Arsenal slander. But we have a comment here. Numero 1 Superfly saying, Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay, what an absolute classic. And Coach 23 saying, it was just a match. But he's saying the reason you weren't introduced was because you were wearing sunglasses indoors.
It is a sin.
Yeah, that's why. That's why.
It is a sin.
I mean, I loved the match. How could you not? It was awesome. A little scared during the finish, because of Danielson's history with the brain stuff. But the match itself, it's a 5-star. Like you said, best match of all time? No. But match of the year candidate thus far, as Drizzy said earlier today. I believe that was this morning, right? I totally think, yes, early match of the year candidate so far for sure. It was sublime. It was exactly what we asked for, right? You put Danielson and Ospreay on the poster and you're going to get something pretty dang special, and that's what they delivered. It's really hard to live up to the expectations when you have a match the caliber of Danielson and Ospreay, and for them to do so in a way where we're even having the conversation about it right now is impressive in and of itself. To exceed to a level of greatest of all time match, it's too early to tell, I think, even anyway, right? Because I also don't think that this is the last match between those two. I do not think this is the last time we've seen them lock horns. I think we'll see one more. I think this left us wanting more, and I think we deserve one more. And if they can top it in the second one, you never know.
I'm going to be honest, Clark. I disagree with you there. Danielson only, he says he's never going to retire now, but he's only got only a few months really left of being a full-time performer. And then he said after that point, he's actually going to tone his style down massively and not work at the same level, but never fully retire. That's his plan. I think this last night was the best we'll ever get between these two. And unless Danielson was to win, in which case I'd have said run it back at Wembley and have Will Ospreay, end the full-time run of Danielson. But we didn't have that. Will Ospreay won. So I think why, try and mess with something when it's already perfect. But what are your thoughts, Chaos?
It was an absolute stellar match. I agree. Was it the best wrestling match of all time? No. Was it one of the best matches for Will Ospreay in his AEW run? No. I mean, does this beat him against Takeshita? I don't think it did. It did that. Does it beat him against Omega?
Wow.
I don't think it beat that either. But it was amazing in its own right. You can't take that away from that. I think definitely the crowd definitely helped. It definitely made it very special. And they're excited. Their excitement for it definitely helped. The fact when you say that they could actually get it back again, it could go either two ways regarding the ending. But obviously Danielson can have an argument that it wasn't a clean finish compared to his other compared to Ospreay's other matches, so he might want to run it back, or this might be a reason for Danielson to actually tone down his style, to actually feed into that, because like you said, he's going to tone his style a lot when he comes down to the end of the year. So yeah, it's it could go either way, but I'm here for it. But yeah, it was absolutely stellar match. It had its 5 stars, but I feel like this was probably the third best match of Will Ospreay so far in his AEW run. Doesn't take away the fact that it was amazing though.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I haven't heard anybody yet say that the Takeshita match was better, so that's interesting. And to be honest with you, I do disagree, but I actually don't think they're as far apart as some people are claiming. Like, people weren't saying the Takeshita one was one of the best of all time, so I don't think they can say, that about this.
No, I'm not saying it's the best of all time, but I'm saying one of the best Ospreay matches we've seen so far. Like, this is way better than him against Jericho. That's what I'm saying. His AW run, this was definitely way better. Like, definitely on the 3. Jericho was like number 5. I'm sorry.
Claudio 4 for sure as well. That was a great match.
Claudio
Again,
was a great match.
To be honest with you, I do think that this was his best match in AEW. But Omega, in fact, you know what? No, take that back. Omega, I do agree with you, Chaos. I think the Omega match was better. But I do think that this was better than the Takeshita match and the Claudio match. But I don't think there's a huge gap like some people are saying. But great point there. Great perspective. Soul, you're not getting a say on this. We're moving on. I'm only joking. So what are your thoughts on this match?
Jesus Christ. I'm going to talk about the whole best match of all time thing, because people have been throwing this around saying it's overrated and all this pish, right? That's subjective. You could take 1,000 wrestling fans and say, greatest match of all time. There's going to be like people say Ospreay, Angle, Shawn Michaels, maybe one Von Wagner fan's going to be in the far back shouting his praises. But at the end of the day, for something to be the best, it has to be universally agreed that is the best. That will never happen. So at the end of the day, it's subjective. For me, this was one of the best matches I have ever seen for my personal take. Yes, I've not seen a lot of Attitude Era stuff or Golden Age stuff or even some Ruthless Aggression stuff. Maybe if I watched that, I would change my mind. But from my point of view, that match last night was absolutely stellar. There was a match. This isn't like a match that I was like actively like cheering just in my house watching with lads and just actually losing my collective mind about all the things. The hidden blade into the Bizaku knee, the dodges and the misses, the crowd saying, we're not worthy to watch your match. I love this. It's my match of the year so far, honestly. That's subjective as well. But for me, it's my match of the year. Now, something I want to talk about specifically is we saw the ending. It was the Storm Driver, which is the Tiger Driver 98, onto Danielson. He sold it like anything. Hidden Blade, get the win. And we saw the press conference. Ospreay said, I'm going to retire that move. I'm never going to use it again. I think at All In, it's going to be Ospreay versus Swerve. It's going to be very, very tight, down to the wire. Ospreay knows that he can't beat Swerve with the Hidden Blade, with all his other moves, but he has beat the best in the world with that Storm Driver. He's going to hit Swerve with it, win the championship at All In, turn heel in the process, Wrestle Dream, Tacoma, Washington, which is near where Bryan was born. The final match of Bryan's full-time run, Ospreay will beat him, cementing him as a heel. And I think we're just going to get heel Ospreay, where he's going to use the Storm Driver as his finisher to truly cement himself as, he's the best wrestler in the world and he'll do anything to cement that legacy.
Wow. I wouldn't mind that at all. That's a great take. I'd say the only flaw with it is, but it's not even necessarily a flaw, is of course it's in the UK, so the crowd aren't going to boo if he won, right via heelish methods. But ultimately, if Will Ospreay won a title in front of any crowd, it'd be quite difficult to get them to boo. So I don't hate that soul, because you can have, the heel turn cemented, like you said, at a later date, but just it basically happened then, and then you realize the next Dynamite, and then he's cutting a promo, easier to boo him that way as well. So I don't hate that at all. Great shout, a great prediction. Let's see if, just like the Four Pillars one, a double or nothing last year, this comes true. You have a track record.
Better than you, mate. I'm sorry, just to say, my prediction rate's way higher than yours.
It's because I ruined them all with cash-ins. This cash-in debt ruined me. It ruined me. Right? Thankfully, there's no money in the bank briefcases now. I don't want them to come back. I don't want money in the bank this year. I hope it goes away, and I hope we never see it again. That's what I hope. That's what I'm praying for. But we've got Coach 23 saying he agrees with Soul. It's subjective, although he loves Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr. more. I agree. Coach 23, for me personally, number 1 this year is Rhodes versus Reigns. Number 2 is Danielson's ESJ, and this one was number 3. All phenomenal matches, though. The crowd said we're not worthy. I don't think us as a wrestling fan base have been worthy of this amount of just great matches and storytelling this calendar year so far. No doubt. about it. But now we are going to move on because I want to really quickly, not really quickly, I want to move on and I want to talk about a match which, to be honest, flew by really quickly. And that was Kazuchika Okada versus Pac. Now, Clark, a few days ago on this broadcast, on the daily broadcast, you said that this was the match which you were really looking forward to. You thought that they were going to put an absolute banger of a bout. And boy, oh boy, did they do that. Did they exceed that? This was Okada's best match in an AEW ring thus far for me, probably, to be honest. I genuinely might have preferred it over the Danielson one in AEW. I know that's going to be controversial, but that's my honest opinion on it. What were your thoughts?
I think it is by far, and even to echo my earlier sentiments from earlier in the week about Pac, did we hear the way the crowd reacted to him leaving the ring? I mean, he put on a show. It was the dictionary definition of getting over without going over, and he put on a clinic in how to do it last night. This match was awesome. I loved the card placement for it because it didn't have to follow your Danielson and Ospreay. It didn't have to follow your, main event, your even Hook Jericho or Strong Riley or O'Reilly. It didn't have to follow anything. It was the exact right spot to put it on the card. It was the curtain jerker by definition, right? It was perfect in that way. It was really good booking in that sense too. And my initial complaint going in was the predictability. Pac got us though. He got us convinced for a second. The match flew by, like you said, but in a good way. Not as in like, oh, you weren't paying attention and then you look up and you realize the next match is on. You were glued to it and it just whizzed by because it was so back and forth and all the spots. I loved it. I really did. And I hope that this does something for Pac in the future. I really hope that this positively benefits Pac down the stretch here this year, maybe leading to something pretty huge at All In. That would be awesome. Being a UK guy at All In. I don't know exactly who, but some sort of just big time match, because that's where Pac's the best. I said it before. Neville is what he got saddled with in WWE. That's the geek from Harry Potter. And it's like, it's not fair. Pac is who he is. He's the wrestler that he is. And he's always been this talented, super overlooked. Very happy that that crowd last night in St. Louis gave him his flowers.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Clark. I do agree with you there. I mean, I think he kind of, in a way, is his own worst enemy at times, or the booking's his own worst enemy, with the fact that he's very rarely on TV. He's had a few injuries, but there's also just been times where he's just not flown in or they've not flown him in. And I feel like that's kind of halted his development in AEW. But you were right. Last night he was there and he showed up like he does every time he's there.
Yeah.
And you mentioned curtain jerker. You mentioned the fact that it opened the show. I almost think that you kind of need to have Okada open the show in every pay-per-view he's involved with, because his style is a bit slower, right? It's not slow, but it's a bit slower. And it's similar with Jay White, actually, as well, where if you have them open the show when the crowd's, really excited for it and not tired, they're going to be a lot more into it. And it's just going to enhance it a lot more. Would you agree?
I would in some ways. I do think, though, when you have Okada in matches against guys like Pac, Ospreay, Omega, on the other end that can provide the speed and agility, that's where he shines the most. I would say he's more methodical than just slow. And so
of course,
I wouldn't say open every show with him, but where it fits, anytime in the coin drop entrance out of the gates is always a fun one. So I don't mind that when it comes to that. But I do think it's card dependent. I wouldn't necessarily slot him as a show opener, because I do think there are other times where, given the rivalry that's built and whatnot, and the dance partner, there's different spots on the card where you can use Okada. I think he's you know, I hear where you're coming from, but I just to slot him as the opening guy, I think is too deep almost.
I'm not. It's not. And people, I think opening guy historically in wrestling has been a bit of an insult. It's really
Yeah.
not. It's like the most. And we say this all the time on the show. It's the most important slot apart from the main event. And I just think if he's going to main event pay-per-views for sure, Okada.
Yeah.
Both him and Jay White. I said it when Jay White entered that company, and I'll say it with Okada too. I don't think in front of an American crowd, Okada. I feel like every time Okada and Jay White are in a main event match on a pay-per-view after 3-4 long hours, I feel like fans are going to say they under-delivered, when in reality, it's just a slower paced match, a more methodical, like you said, paced match. And that has its place. And it's just this AEW crowd, these American crowds, I should say, it's not just AEW, are sometimes a little bit impatient because of the style we've become, accustomed to. And I just feel like we're going to hear that over and over again, I bet, with this Okada run. When he's late on the card, people are going to say, oh, he's too boring or whatever. But Coach 23 is saying the three most important places on a wrestling event are the openers, top of the hour, so second hour, and the main event last match. No doubt about that. Numero 1 once Pac Will Ospreay.
Hello.
That sounds like fun to me. I believe it happened.
I do too.
I might be wrong here. I think it happened it was either Rev Pro or OTT.
I think it's happened twice, actually, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
I'm not 100% on that, but I do think it's happened twice.
Rev Pro. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I remember it happened and it was a really good match, but it was quite a few years ago. And Will Ospreay's improving by the week at this rate. So I'd love to see it again. That one is for sure. But right now, I'm going to bring in Soul because, Soul, I want to talk to you about this for just a second. I want to talk to you about Julia Hart and Willow Nightingale, the TBS Championship. Now, these two women, I didn't like the amount of time they had. Maybe there was an injury or something. Who knows, right? So I'll let that slide. But Willow is the new TBS champion. And I mean, that is exciting. It really, really is. I'm a huge Willow fan. But the issue I have is I am really, really scared they're going to turn her heel against Mercedes Moné at Double or Nothing. What are your thoughts?
The match in itself, I really enjoyed. I've always loved Willow as well. The cheery attitude, everything she's done, the Athena match in ROH as well. I always thought she was going to be the one to dethrone Athena, but then Billy's entered the picture, and I think that's the way they should go. For the future, obviously, because we've had Mercedes Moné saying she's going to challenge for that title at Vegas. I really don't think they're going to turn Willow heel. I don't think it at all. She works she's too lovable and nice. Like, maybe down the line as a whole character shift, that would be fine. But right now, you're really still building her up as a champion and really cementing her as part of the roster. I thought, if anything, that Statlander was going to turn heel on her tonight, and that was going to be a wee short feud before Mercedes. So I can understand wanting to put the belt on Mercedes. I absolutely can. You want her to be, she's a big name, a lot of fan base, and that's someone that's going to really draw eyes to the division and the product. The only way I could see that working for me personally, if Statlander costs Willow the title because Stokely is influencing Stat, and Stat gets jealous. She had a run, but they could maybe Stokely's like, well, look, you had a run, yes, and you faced more opponents than Willow, but Willow's getting cheers. She's getting, main events. She's getting more merch sales and everything like that. And Stokely could be the little seeds that he's feeding into Stat's mind to cause a heel turn. And that would be fine because, we don't have to do every match and every story about a title. There could just be other personal reasons going on. So if that is how Willow drops the belt to Mercedes, that's going to put a lot of heat on Stat and a lot of heat on Mercedes that I think a lot of people will want to see them get dethroned. Now,
I love that.
I'm going to be absolutely sure with that. And I think with Mercedes as well, have it until All In. I'm not just saying that because I'm UK and I don't want to stay up until 5 a.m. to watch an awesome match. Have it at All In because you could have somebody return who I think everybody wants to see come back and take that belt off Mercedes, and that is Jamie Hayter.
I'd like that, but I'd like the world title, I think, a bit more. Jamie Hayter.
Oh no, that's Mariah May's belt. That's Mariah May's belt. Mariah May's getting.
Oh, that's true. That's true. What am I saying? No, you're right. You're right. I agree. I'll agree again. Let's have all the British champions win at the British show. Let's do that. UK. Yeah, I agree. But I'm going to be honest, Soul. I really hope you're right about the Willow Statlander stuff because it would make a lot of sense. Here's my concern. When Willow came out last night, she walked down fast. She didn't ignore Statlander, but she didn't hug her goodbye like she always does. And Statlander had to run back to her to hug her goodbye by the time she was already halfway down the ramp. Maybe she simply forgot.
It was nerves, buddy. Because look at the end of the match, everyone hugged. After Trent's been, tearing everything up, we need some friendship going on in AEW.
Who hugged who? They hugged her.
Yes, before they stab in the back like Julius Caesar, and we get all the betrayal.
Hopefully.
Let's break this hug down from a fundamental standpoint.
I didn't think the technique was. I thought that right arm. I think we need to get that pen.
It's like a bit of a dead fish arm. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. But something which I'm sure we can all agree on is how great our good friends over at Next Level are. Now, if you guys don't know what Next Level is, it's basically all our links across all our social medias, all in one easy place. So you guys can go there. You can see all our content, all our links, everything. Instead of us putting so many links in the description, it's just that one. It's easy, it's simple, but that is not all, because you can also post wrestling stuff on that app. It's a platform where there's a thriving wrestling-based community on it already. We post exclusive content on there and everything. And it's a great platform. It's free. It costs you nothing. And not only that, but they also do giveaways. Now, I think it closes any day now, so check that it is still open. But if you click that link and scroll down to the bottom of it, you might have an opportunity to enter a giveaway for the 40 years edition of 40 years of WrestleMania edition of WWE 2K24. I have it. It's a great game, and they're giving away 2 copies for absolutely free. All you need to do is click that link, scroll to the bottom, and click to enter. It'll explain all the rules there, everything you need to do. It's very, very simple, and they're regularly doing giveaways. A couple of months ago now, they did a WrestleMania giveaway, tickets to WrestleMania, and that was a huge success. So, guys, honestly, Next Level, they're top guys over there. They really, really are. All our links in one place. Just go to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms, all linked in one place. But now it's time to talk about 2 undisputed wrestlers, 2 wrestlers who were formerly in the undisputed era in NXT. And Chaos, I'm bringing you in for this, and we need to break this one down because I was a critic of how this happened. I really, really was. I didn't like the fact they did it on Battle of the Belts, which like nobody was watching, when this could have been such a big storyline for them. But I watched the match. I loved the match. I thought it was really good. But my biggest, I'm not concerned, but surprise, was that Roderick Strong won it pretty much cleanly. What were your thoughts, Chaos?
Yeah, I had to come down to civilization to actually break this one down a bit. So I had to leave my little planet. So hopefully it'll be a bit better. Yeah, I thought the match was fine. I felt like I do agree. I think this could have been built up much more stronger. To be fair, I missed about 80% of this build. I knew that there was some friction going on between.
I don't think there was 80% of this build. I think the build was they said they weren't going to do anything, and then the turn happened.
I guess so. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because I missed the majority of it. So I'm just trying to be nice. But they made up for it. I mean, the fact that they had chemistry as well, the long chemistry, the long friendship and whatnot, they were just like bread and butter. It was just good back and forth. Obviously that little interference with Wardlow as well played into it. But yeah, I didn't feel like Roderick Strong's reign was gonna be was gonna come to an end. I don't know who's gonna take the title away from him, but yeah, it's gonna be Kyle O'Reilly. But yeah, I thought it was fine. It was one of the matches the way it was. It could have been on at the pay-per-view or Dynamite. You know what I mean? So it was good for what it was. But I'm happy that Kyle O'Reilly's back. And Roderick Strong, yeah, the counters that he was doing to it was just absolutely sensational. But yeah, what I'm more concerned about was the aftermath. Was obviously okay. So Roderick Strong obviously retained, like they're pretty much clean. Like Wardlow tried to do something, but didn't really do much. And then obviously you see Adam Cole. He's obviously pretty much looks like he's 90% healed. Came down, walking to the ring, and God, if looks could kill, if looks could kill when he was looking at Wardlow. I'm surprised they're pulling the trigger on this so soon, to be fair, but clearly he thinks that Wardlow's the weak link, and yeah, what's going to happen? Who's going to be man enough to take down Wardlow? But I'm here. I'm quite curious. It kind of revitalizes the Undisputed Kingdom faction a bit, because I felt it was kind of getting a bit stale. But overall, match was fine. I'm more looking forward to see what Adam Cole is going to do with Wardlow.
Yeah, I mean, what this told me was pretty much exactly what you said. It tells me the plans for Adam Cole versus Wardlow, not Adam Cole versus MJF, which tells me that MJF is officially signed with WWE. I'm only joking. It tells me that he's a while away. He's a while away from coming back. We have a couple of comments showing a look at. Number one, Superfly says, Strong versus O'Reilly was pretty good. This might have been me, but are they already teasing? Yeah, they are teasing kicking Wardlow out. I mean, it's rare chaos, isn't it? That you have so much history between two competitors like Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. And they did just rush this and seemingly end it. Like, it is. The more I'm thinking about this match, they kind of did drop the, like, it was such an easy storyline and they messed it up.
It's the bane of AEW's life. This ain't the first rivalry that it was set up there perfectly. Either they forget about it or they just don't tell it properly, and it's even though it's right there in front of them. So yeah, it's just one of those. It's one of AEW's bane. That's all we can think. That's what we can say, really. But they made the most of it. What they could do, they made up for it by the match, not by the build. So, and the crowd was pretty much in.
I mean, well, AEW aren't the only ones who like ruining stories. So did Man United when you guys beat Coventry the other day. I mean, that story was so good.
But we won though.
Exactly, you ruined it.
We don't deserve it. I agree. We don't deserve it. But
why was that the one time VAR worked? Anyway, this isn't a football podcast. Let's see. With Coach 23 saying that they rushed it, so they could, book it for Double or Nothing. I hope they do run something back. That's what I am hoping.
Yeah.
But now let's move forward, and let's move forward to talk about my only real big complaint about last night, and that, well, it wasn't even bad, but the crowd were brutal, and that was Huck versus Chris Jericho. Now, I said this, guys. I called this when Chris Jericho got rid of his theme song, got rid of everything that made him interesting, and was like, I'm going to prove I can still be a good wrestler at this age. At this stage in your career, you're not the performer you used to be. Admit it. You need to play the hits, and you need to, send the crowd home happy. Jericho has decided to try and, I guess let his ego get in the way, say he's being a good heel, when it's not good heel work. People are literally going to the toilet when your matches are on. People did not care about this feud, and people care a lot about Huck. What does that tell them? It tells you that you're hurting Huck, not helping him. And hey, you even beat him in this match, and now you're a champion again. No one cared. The only thing which was interesting about this match was the crowd chanting about how they don't care for Chris Jericho, about how they want him to retire. And to be brutally honest, I think that's a very sad thing to see, because Jericho has been a hell of a talent. He's had a hell of a career. He's good at a lot of things. He truly, truly is. He's a great author. His band, if you like his stuff, I presume they're good. But I mean, no, he has had a great career, and it's sad to see him, get told in the ring, we want you to retire. But hey, Jericho, look in the mirror now. Think maybe it's time to go part-time. What were your thoughts, Clark?
I don't even want to talk about Chris Jericho. I want to talk about the Hookster. I'm the world's #1 hookamaniac. And obviously, this was a disappointing loss. Little known fact, he was actually, my childhood hero growing up. Looked up to Hook. And to have him lose the FTW title really, really, really hurt me deeply, deeply last night. That one was a tough pill to swallow, to say the very least. The baseball bat to the head. I can't even really believe it. To see one of your heroes take a loss like that is just,
Has our truth come on the podcast?
It's hard. It's hard to imagine having to react to a tougher match emotionally for myself. But what I will say is Hook looked great. He'll be back. The Hookster will be back. He'll be running wild. He'll be eating his chips. We'll be saying our prayers and doing all that stuff. It's going to be awesome. The Taz mission, the red rum, as we like to call it in the Hookiverse. I'm just saying, he's not medically cleared. Taz cannot really get physical. The closest to getting physical was him getting hit by Jericho we saw the other night. I wish he could. It would be awesome, but it's not a choice. And that's basically the only serious thing I want to say about this match, because I was as disappointed as anybody, because as I've stated numerous times, the Hookamaniacs, the Hookster, he's on his way. We're ready.
Clark, I don't know. I know you're not great at maths, right? I know, we try and keep you away from maths, right? It doesn't sit well with you.
No.
But you are aware that Hawk is like over 5 years younger than you.
No, he was my childhood hero. That's a fact.
Okay.
Don't do the math.
Don't do the
I think he's a decade younger than me technically, but that's not the point.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, hey, maybe you saw him as a kid and you were like, that guy's my hero.
No, yeah.
You were 10
the
years old.
Hookster, I grew up idolizing the Hookster. Everyone knows. It's
the Hookster.
Long time
you used
fact.
to send out Hook signals as a kid.
Yes, the Hook signal.
In fact, you got so inspired by Hawk that Hawk got inspired by you, and that's why Hawk is Hawk.
Yes.
You created Hawk. You stole it from your notepads as a kid. But
and we both love chips.
Off of my whole effing flow. Word for word, bar for bar.
We got Coach 23 saying Clark was the first person I thought of.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach. Yeah, I know. It was brutal. It was a tough loss.
Numa on Superfly didn't like the match. It was really slow in his opinion. That's why he can't really get involved. Yeah, like to Clark's point. But Chaos is secretary, so basically Chaos, when he doesn't have the guts to say it, it's another Arsenal dick, is saying that Chris Jericho is just like Arsene Wenger. Thanks for the memories, but it's time to go! Shout out to Todd from Arsenal Fan TV for that, by the way, as well. R.I.P. to that legend. But now let's move on, because Soul, I'm getting you back in you, because we need to talk about some more women's wrestling. This match was given a good amount of time at least. And I still think it could have had another few minutes, because for a second consecutive pay-per-view, the two shortest matches, well, they were both women's matches. But hey, I'm not even going to talk about that. This got, I think, 16 minutes. Decent amount of time. And I thought it really, really delivered. Thunder Rosa, Toni Storm, these are two great competitors. Since Tony Storm's developed this new character alongside Anthony Khan, people have said that her matches maybe haven't been up to her previous standard. Well, I think this put her back into her usual form. What was your thoughts, Sol?
God, I've missed Thunder Rosa. I've missed seeing her wrestle, and just the whole thing with the mask, taking it off, and then just not having the whole City of the Dead look, just with two eyeliners and just hitting it. Like this match got 3 minutes more than Deonna and Toni at Revolution. I just think maybe Deonna and Toni don't have good chemistry in the ring. That happens sometimes. Some wrestlers can't just mix and make a good match. It happens. I'm happy with the amount of time, because they really killed it. You know, they really, really brought suspense and everything. I thought it was absolutely fine with the timing wise. I thought this was just probably one of the best pay-per-view women's matches in a very long time as well, I think. Just with how much they brought it. And I like Deonna coming in and costing, getting rid of Mariah May and everything. Just that whole segment as well. But also, we saw the press cons afterwards. Tony came out very different for this one. I think this is because Thunder Rosa really took her to the limits. She came out, she did a little statement. The wrestling press were asking questions and all that. She just wasn't giving anything. But then one person asked a question about the rankings because Mariah May's, I think, number 4 or 3. And Tony just flipped it and just picked up the title and just ran out. And I think that's really cementing the seats for Mariah's going to start elevating. I think because with the way the roadmap works for the pay-per-views, we've got Double or Nothing, Forbidden Door, and then All In. I think between now and Double or Nothing, I think Mariah May is going to be in a number 1 contenders match. And I think Tony's going to maybe distract Mariah or something like that. Maybe on the Titantron, she gets a backstage assault and Mariah looks in the shocks and then costs it, and whoever gets the pin goes to face Double or Nothing. We then find out it was actually just Luther, set up the scene and made it look like Tony got attacked. And Mariah feels all betrayed and all that. Forbidden Door is going to be Mina Shirakawa, who was, Stardom with Mariah May. And I think that's the deciding point when Mariah turns on Tony to save her past idol. And I think that's where we're going to go for All In with Tony Storm versus Mariah May for the championship.
That would certainly be exciting, and I'd really love to see that again. Great fantasy booking, so that could well become a reality, and I would like to see it happen as well. Again, Brits at Wembley winning titles. Let's do it. Let's have all the champions be British by the end of the night at All In.
Wild.
How about that?
There's nothing wrong with that.
The Brits are taking, so the British, it's NXT UK takeover.
The AEW bias comments will improve tenfold over on Instagram.
Everybody just mean, oh, it's good they're all British. Yes, it is. No. But David Mard was saying it was a good match. Yeah, 100%. And I agree with you, Soul, as well. Thunder Rosa, I have missed her, certainly. She's a tremendous athlete, no doubt about it. But Chaos, I'm bringing you back in now because I want to talk about something for a minute. I want to talk about the Young Bucks. I want to talk about FTR. I want to talk about ladders because we had all of this last night at AEW Dynasty. It feels like it's the millionth match between these two teams, but it was very fun as always, albeit a little bit stupid, I thought, in this match. I thought thankfully, I don't think anybody was hurt, but that's an absolute miracle. But I really, really enjoyed it for what it was. Now, of course, the big factor here is a certain somebody came back, a certain scapegoat came back, and that man is Jack Perry. Do you think, with how this played out, the CM Punk footage being released made sense, Chaos?
No. I still think that was something to do. I don't think you could. I'm pretty sure you'll be very hard to find. You find it very hard to get someone that actually agree with what they actually did. So yeah, I still think it was stupid. But obviously, seeing that now pretty much made it very obvious that Jack was going to make a comeback. But yeah, we all know the real underlying intentions that was for airing that match, but we ain't going to get into that. But the match itself, so the previous two matches, I've been seeing one live, and obviously we saw the one in Full Gear. I always felt like while they were good at the time, I always felt there was something missing from them, and I felt like right now seeing this match, I think the one thing that was missing was the stipulation. Because correct me if I'm wrong, first two matches are standard tag matches.
Didn't Wembley have something weird about it?
There was a stipulation on one of them.
There was 2 out of 3, wasn't there?
So Wembley was no stipulation. There was a stipulation on Dynamite where it was the Ring of Honor and AAA belts on the line at the same time. The Full Gear one was no stipulation. So the only kind of real stipulations was 2 titles on the line at once for the Bucks and FTR.
Okay, so yeah, I don't really count that. So I felt, so fair enough. That's a stipulation, but I felt like the thing that was missing for these guys was a match type, and I felt like this definitely helped, in my opinion. So yeah, the fact that it was a ladder match made me actually enjoy it. I think this is definitely the best out of their three, in my opinion. While two were good, and there was some couple mishaps on when it came to certain spots. But I felt I was definitely more invested in this one than I was than to the one in All In and the one in Dynamite and the one at Full Gear. So yeah, it was good for what it was. The ending, everyone kind of predicted that. Even I was expecting that, and then they're gonna do something Forbidden Door and whatever else. But yeah, it was fun. It was very enjoyable. Definitely my favorite out of their match. They could have done without all the crazy build up. We complain about build, and then when we get this kind of build, we did even it was absolute ass. Like they just can't win with AEW. That's what I'm saying. You just can't win because this didn't have a good build, but just wrong choices. But yeah, other than that, definitely fun. Good co-main. I'm loving this gimmick that the EVPs are doing because yeah, it's definitely throwing it and getting more comfortable with it, and I'm more on board for it. So yeah, all power to them.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's so entertaining. It's the most entertaining they've been in a very long time. I'm looking forward to this title reign with this gimmick. It makes a lot of sense for them. What's next with Jack Perry? That is going to be certainly interesting to see. I mean, some people have flipped. Some people have flipped about this CM Punk footage and said, "Hey, it makes sense now." Drizzy is one of those. Actually, I saw that tweet this morning, and
Drizzy, you turncoat. Like that. What the hell's wrong with you? Terrible. You're banned from the table. How dare you? Go, sorry.
Sorry.
What? No.
No, you can't ban Drizzy from the table.
Not Drizzy?
Delete that.
I'll go to bat for Driz. I was like, I don't even get invited to the table, but I'll go to bat for Driz. He should be allowed at the table.
I think you just strip him of the right of like complimentary bread rolls or something, so he doesn't get those when he attends the table. You know, he just gets breadsticks or something.
Okay, yeah, that's water, just water. That's what he's gonna get. Just water. That's fine.
Only water. That's Drizzy's punishment. He's only allowed water at the table, but
quell the caffeine for now.
Quell the caffeine.
Coach 23 saying, I remember the days when FTR was no flips and just fists. Well, they become fists, flips, and all sorts nowadays, haven't they? On 450s and all that. But anyway, who cares?
They're flipping.
It's
I saw them. They were flipping.
Ignacio doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Don't say it to Ignacio, though.
That doesn't like anything.
Ignacio's he's anti-gymnastics, though. That's standard.
Ignacio's just anti-oxygen at this point. He doesn't like
they play Olympic gymnastics, and he's like, I can't believe they're letting him do this. All the flips.
Cardio? I don't even know what that word means.
This is ridiculous.
Ignacio
back in my day, we don't breathe.
Experience.
Yeah,
we crawl everywhere and do pin locks.
He watches snowboarding and was like, "Was that a McTwist?" No. Just go down the hill. Love you, Ignacio.
All right, proceed then. Sorry,
let's talk about the new AEW champion, Swerve Strickland, the first African-American AEW world champion. I mean, this main event, this was a big deal. He defeated Samoa Joe in what was a really fun main event match. Not quite the match on the card, but I still really enjoyed it. The crowd loved it. They were behind Swerve. He's still over, and he's got the belt. Now, I want to mention something that Shard mentioned in a take that he submitted on the Instagram page earlier today, where he said that Swerve Strickland he ticks all the boxes, to be champion. And he really does. He's great on the mic. He's great in the ring. He's got charisma, and he has the thing which you can't describe. He has it, whatever it may be, and he has it in loads. I mean, Swerve Strickland, he deserves it. That is for sure. I mean, Chaos, I'm going to go straight to you to kick this one off. What did you think about the new AEW champion Swerve and his match against Samoa Joe?
About damn time. Great match. Great way. I love the entrance, the Black Panther outfit. Get draped over, look like, giving the James Brown and then just obviously see Prince Nana coming down with him doing his stick. Very good entrance. And it was back and forth. It was rough, but you needed it to be rough with these two guys. And Joe don't play. And yeah, they brought it. It was back and forth. There was a couple of times where I was like kind of worried. Oh snap! Are they actually going to pull the trigger? Because I was now's the better time, the best time to do it, better than any time. Is that momentum wise is like top, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was good. Awesome finish to the card. I hope he gets a lengthy title reign. I definitely would like to see my prediction. I would love to see Swerve versus Ospreay. That would be great for All In. That'd be absolutely great. It just makes sense. You know what I mean? I definitely have more tickets for All In. But yeah, I have no complaints. I'm happy for it. Finally, like you said, African Canadian champion. I got mine right here. Posted it to me as well. Yeah.
Nice.
And then,
nice.
So yeah, I'm looking to this ring. It's gonna be great. This is definitely actually making me go and watch Dynamite. Look forward to Dynamite now, because I'll be honest. It's been a while since I've been looking forward to a Dynamite. So yeah, let's see what happens and what's going on. I'll be honest. It's been WWE's been killing it for me. So yeah, now I'm definitely
fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, there is a lot of wrestling and not a lot of time. That one is for sure. We got a comment here from Window with about 10 underscores saying, when's the star rating going up? Oh, it's been chaos in the review team. Well, not literally chaos, not been there. But,
not like our friend chaos, but like
basically,
the verb.
Long story short, our head reviewer, Kobe Gallant, asked to get a final this morning. David was going to do it with him. He fell ill, but don't worry. They've worked hard on it all day today, and it is coming out any time now. It might even already be up on the website. If not, it's going to be up in the next few hours. But it's just one of those things where it's
going to be a phone call post-show. I'm kidding.
No, it's in the works. I know the ratings. I now know the ratings. But I won't tell them. You guys are going to have to wait to find out. But the review is literally being written as we speak. Apparently, it's 11 underscores. This Window person says that's a lot. That's a lot of underscores.
Respect.
Window with 11 underscores. I respect that, But Soul, did you respect the main event of Dynasty? Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland.
Of course I did. Absolutely. I love this match. I was going to get my replica out for this, but $800, I'm not going to make sure that thing gets harmed. The whole entrance as well, the Killmonger gear, and the robe belonged to Jimmy Ray, who was a founding member of the embassy with Prince Nana, who passed away. So there was a lot of respect and heritage with that as well. Joe killed it. As I said on the Instagram in the previous daily, I kind of would have loved Joe to have more of a reign, because I feel like he's got a lot more to give. If he has a reign in the future, absolutely would have no problem with it. With Swerve, though, it is well deserved. Because it's funny enough, because I actually saw Swerve debut for AEW. Revolution 2022, I was there, and I had no clue who he was. I had no clue. Everyone was chanting Swerve's house. I was like, okay, who is this guy? Is he a rapper or something like that? And obviously, he was in NXT, former North American champion. He was part of some faction called Hit Row. I think they're doing very well for themselves right now, apparently, what I'm told. He was former Divide champion as well. And the Swerve's been really killing with AEW. I think it was a slow start, with Swerve and Our Glory, with Keith Lee, Mogul Embassy, having legends like Trench in that faction as well for a wee while, and then continuing on. But I think what made Swerve, really the guy, the people who want to see him, was Hangman Page. I think Hangman Page is the reason why Swerve Strickland is in the position he is right now. Hangman did to Swerve what Kenny did to Hangman in 2022. Or was it 2021? It was 2021, sorry.
We don't do math. This is a math-free show. You're good.
I've done too much math today.
Yeah, given that, that passage of the torch thing, because everyone, I think, didn't that Swerve and Hangman match with Full Gear win Wrestling Republic Match of the Year?
Yeah, it did.
It did. By votes.
Yeah.
It's also not a memory day either. It's neither of them for me.
That was an absolutely set. I mean, for a thing for me, I was working a deathmatch show that day of that show, and I'd seen some crazy stuff. And I was speaking to the talent there, and I was like, oh, the Swerve and Hangman match is on. And they were like, they can't top that. They can do anything crazy. Then at 2 a.m., all I see is Hangman Page drinking Swerve's blood and just thinking, they have topped this. This is very well done of them. I think Swerve will kill it as AEW World Champion. I think he looks amazing with the belt. Absolutely just a superstar kind of caliber talent. People I want to see him wrestle. Wardlow. I want to see him against Roddy Strong. I want to see him against Okada, Pac, Forbidden Door. The main thing is, I think it should be either Minoru Suzuki or Tanahashi. I think those would be very fun matchups for Swerve and Forbidden Door. Obviously, All In's coming, and I think everybody wants Ospreay versus Swerve. If Swerve was to walk away with the win of that match, I don't think anyone would complain. As I said before, if Ospreay was able to bring back that Storm Driver to become a heel and use that to win, I don't think anyone would complain. But I do think this period of time will be a very big part of Swerve's legacy as a wrestler.
Oh, absolutely. No, I completely
Back.
do agree with you there. So, like you said, it was a slow start, but hey, it got going. That match with Hangman was true. I mean, I called it cinema at the time. That was, my personal match of the year from last year. I know that much. But that was good. But hey, now he's champion. He's world champion. Clark, what are your thoughts on that?
Top rope, catch a vibe, catch a foot when I drive. Dude, yes, we did it. We done did it. Swerve deserved this. Every minute of it, he deserved. The moment, all of it, I loved it. He's earned it. I've talked a ton on this show about the amount of people that have made the crossover, whether it's AEW to WWE or back, and how we've had expectations laid out for each one. Swerve is not somebody who I expected to be in this position. His talent has become undeniable in a way that is, and I'm not trying to make a Cody Rhodes reference there, so please don't take that out of context. And no, that's not what I'm saying. I just used a vocab word. Sorry. I used a vocab word. That's the best I could do there. My point is, Swerve deserved every bit of this. The moment he earned it, he has been over since he's been in the company. It got to a spot where he's leading a heel group and his work is so good, you can't help but root for him. And they made the right decision to turn him babyface. Prince Nana and the dance. I mean, come on. It never gets old. It never gets old. The song never gets old. None of it ever gets old. The celebration last night was amazing. I loved this. I loved this for wrestling, and I loved this for Swerve Strickland because it was such a cool, organic, deserved moment. And it's funny because, I feel like sometimes we can get a little bit spoiled in wrestling when it comes to big time moments like that. There's no reason to compare this one to the Mania stuff. They happened long enough apart. It's separate. It's completely separate. But we get to get two in a month like this. It's so cool to be a professional wrestling fan right now. And like, it's one of the best things about last night. Like Soul mentioned earlier on the show that they've got a show in Tacoma, Washington. Danielson's not just from Washington, so Swerve. So, I mean, that show is going to be headlined by two absolute legends. I don't know if it's those two against each other, but I thought as soon as I saw that it was announced that it's in the state of Washington, I thought it's in Tacoma. I thought, okay, there's Swerve Danielson. And that match, the matches to look forward to, the matches that Swerve's put on, the charisma he's displayed, the it factor, all of it, it's the shout out Lex Luger though. But right now, Swerve is the total package in every way and the exact right guy to carry the title belt. Max not returning last night in the weirdest way possible as one of the biggest Maxwell Jacob Friedman fans on the planet, I think is the best case scenario. We did not need that to overshadow the moment or mess with it at all.
Yeah.
And I'm super glad they didn't do that, but that one's got to be on the docket. The matchups we have coming up with Swerve as champion. And this is no knock on Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe weathered the storm during a difficult time for AEW, and I'll never forget that. He did a great job in that role and carrying that title. And as Soul mentioned earlier, I could totally see him being a two-time champion. But for me, Swerve winning was not just the cherry on top of the sundae. It was the whole sundae.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. It was an absolute great moment. That is for sure. But thank you guys so much for watching us here today. It's been a great show. Thank you, Chaos. Thank you, Soul. Thank you, Clark, for joining me here. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, to talk Monday Night Raw. Thank you, everybody who is watching. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're here every day, and we will see you tomorrow. Peace!